sitting here today, looking back, you're way ahead of the posse. You were a leader in that field.
Yeah, I think that we're reasonably good at kind of spotting things coming down the road.
Sure, and you have a good team there now as well.
Yeah, no, we've a great team, great management team now. Yeah. So it's not just all about me.
Sure, yeah.
And I started it.
Right.
Been at the start of all the businesses that we've done, and I've been very much behind, pushing the ideas forward to do them.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm surrounded by people who are really talented and very good at what they do.
Good. The Guardian Irish Business Podcast is a tour around the entrepreneurial industry here in Dublin and across the country. We have the great privilege here at Guardian of working with some of the most inspiring and influential small businesses in Ireland and the people that run them, who are forming and shaping the future of many different sectors of the Irish economy. I thought it would be interesting to chat to and learn from these people, which we do every day, but memorialise it in a podcast which could then be shared with our friends and clients and you, the listener. Welcome to our podcast. For today's guest, we have a serial entrepreneur who has not only worked for such powerhouses like Channel 4 and is a board member of TAM Ireland, but has set up several of his own companies like Digitize and Converge. Ladies and gentlemen, John Patten. So John, take it from the start. Where did John Patten start this business? How did it all come to being?
Right back to the very beginning of when I left school.
You left school, 1980, 1978?
1979.
1979.
And I did a really good intercert. And I did a very poor leaving cert, having been, I was in boarding school, and I got too involved with some of the friends I had there. Okay. And I was also very involved in relations with some of my relations down in Tipperary, and life was good at that point. Right. And but anyway, the net result was I came out with a poor leaving cert. And believe it or not, my first job was in McDonalds.
Okay, good breeding ground, I believe.
Because I could get nothing else, because there was a huge amount of unemployment at the time.
Right.
But I worked there for about 3 weeks, and I very quickly copped on that, I'd come from a middle-class background, and I very quickly copped it that if I was going to keep going this direction, I wouldn't be going very far. Okay. And a lot of the things that I'd seen when I was growing up just wouldn't be available to me.
Right.
So that inspired me there and then, more or less, to get my act together and get my head down.
Right. And dare I ask, John, I would have left school in 1980 myself, failed to pass French in the leaving cert, so college wasn't really available for me. Was the leaving cert the cause of you not going to college?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a good leaving cert.
Not a good leaving cert. Okay. No, wasn't brilliant myself, but still got through it. But look, I think it's fantastic. And especially in this day and age where there's so much pressure on kids to do well in the leaving cert, that there is life after the leaving cert, a lot of life.
Yeah, completely. I mean, so realizing where I was at that point in time, even at that stage, set the scene for me to set my, as I say, my North Star, which was to get on in life and try and achieve.
You didn't get a degree yourself. Would this influence you now when hiring someone, or would you hire somebody now who hadn't a degree?
Yes, is the answer to that. I would hire somebody who doesn't have a degree. It's not a prerequisite for us. I think talent, experience, and vision are all the things that we'd like to see in somebody. So ironically, I'm the only person who works in any of our businesses who hasn't got a degree.
Right.
And I'm a bit concerned about the kind of education arms race that we've now got, where people are convinced that the only way they can go up in the world is by having a master's. The reality is if you're walking into an employer, and if you have phenomenal experience and a track record, you're always going to go places, and people are always going to want to hire you. Yeah. So I think that's far more important.
Very good. I would see here personality and ability are as important, if not more important, than the technical qualifications.
Absolutely. And you know, I know people who've, you know, employed people with masters and so on, and the expectations in a lot of cases when people walk in the door that you know, they're automatically just going to be given a lot of huge salary and all the rest of it, whereas the reality is an employer expects something in return.
Sure.
And you've got to demonstrate your ability to produce that, and that's when the rewards come.
Absolutely. Another key word I look for is attitude. People's attitude is just so important nowadays.
Agreed.
I've seen a reduction in attitude or application the last 5 years. So yeah, it's getting harder to find a good attitude person or good positive attitude.
Yeah, in Dublin, in our business, there's enormous competition for talent, because we do have Facebook, we do have Google, we have Twitter here, we have TikTok,
right,
and so on, and many others in you know, in the tech space.
Yeah.
And so anybody, you know, they are actively recruiting on the ground in Dublin, and you are in competition with these companies.
Right. Difficult to compete at the salary levels they're offering. So you're offering the softer things like good conditions of employment and a good team and opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think you come away from working in a business like ours with a more rounded experience,
right,
which is more. I mean, there is talk now about people who work in some of these tech companies that they can't really work in anything other than these companies.
Sure.
Now, there's plenty of places for them to go to within that world, but the general business grounding mightn't be as good as you might get with working with somebody like ourselves.
Right. And did you have an inkling then, John, of what your passion or where your direction was going to be, or did you stumble upon it?
I think, like many people in advertising and media, I actually stumbled on it.
Okay.
Although my dad was in the media game, he was in PR,
right,
and he was one of the first practitioners in Ireland in that business. And we grew up with media, and we grew up with journalists. There is, and I come from a family of 6 siblings, and 3 of us, in fact 4 of us, are in communications, video, advertising, PR.
Right.
So it's in the blood.
Okay. So from McDonald's, where did one go?
I got a job in the Irish Agricultural Wholesale Society.
Right. Thomas Street.
And I, like a lot of people in there, I started in the post department, and but quickly migrated into one of the departments there, and did a good job. I know that they valued what I did as a youngster, and but basically the prospects that I saw there didn't really add up for me, and the pay was awful back then. And so I ended up in Sunday Tribune Part 1.
Right. Okay.
And that was my, I suppose, stepping off into media at that point in time.
And what was your role in Sunday Tribune then, John? Like, was this postboy, senior postboy at this stage?
No, it was, believe it or not, circulation manager, which I managed to blag my way into.
Right.
And so I stuck with that, and unfortunately, Sunday Tribune Mark 1 went bang.
That's right, yeah.
And then I had a car accident shortly afterwards. And I eventually landed in Sunday Tribune Mark 2.
Oh, okay.
With Vincent Brown and Co.
Right.
And started selling advertising.
Right. Okay. And that was all manual stuff, picking up the phone,
phone and all the rest of it.
Right.
But I developed a specialization which actually made a lot of money for the Sunday Tribune.
Okay. Can we ask what that was?
Financial advertising.
Okay.
Because I'd got to know a lot of people in that sector.
Right.
And so it was a big earner for the Sunday Tribune.
Okay. So Sunday Tribune was in its prime then?
Yes.
So you should never have left, because after you left, it just didn't go well for the Sunday Tribune.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
No,
but I did want to do something quite pointed around business and finance, and had put it to the people in charge at the time that we should launch a dedicated supplement because we were making so much money from financial advertising.
Right.
and it didn't get buy-in.
Right.
And a year later, the Sunday Business Post was launched.
Okay.
And essentially, I would suggest ate a lot of the Sunday Tribune's lunch at
Yes.
that point in time.
Yeah. I would have bought the Tribune and switched to the Business Post at the time. Yeah, I'd agree with you.
So it was missed opportunity and a shame.
Right. And you didn't switch over to the Business Post, no?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I launched a venture, my first entrepreneurial venture,
Okay.
which was a pizza restaurant.
Right.
Back in 1986, and it didn't go well.
Oh, right. Okay. You just were 30 years too early.
Because I was used to kind of moving mountains in moving, let's say, advertising space. I was used to accomplishing stuff. I felt I could translate that into what I was doing with this fast food restaurant. Right. The location was wrong, and no matter how dedicated you were, you weren't able to. It wasn't possible to make that fly.
There was no Deliveroo then.
There wasn't. Okay, and actually, it probably would have been great for that business because the product was really good.
Right. So good to hear you've had a failure, John.
Yes,
because indeed. I think it certainly helped you along the way, I'd say.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
You kind of learn from that in a big way.
Right.
After that business went under, I had an offer from independent newspapers to work for them, and I said that I didn't want to work for them directly, but could I have an agency, please, and I'll sell for you on commission.
Okay.
So that's
right
how I got into what is now the business that we do, which is media representation.
Right.
And it has laterally encompassed technology.
Okay. So how long did you stay in independent newspapers?
I had a connection with independent newspapers until 2001.
Right.
And at that point in time, we'd already won the business for Channel 4.
Okay.
And began representing Channel 4 in Ireland and running their business for them in Ireland.
When you say we, that was you on your own?
That was me and people working in the business.
Right. Okay. So
at that point,
so you made the break as an employee, or even though you're on a commission basis.
Yeah. No, that was always an entrepreneurial venture. It was never me working directly for them.
Right.
Which is because having run a business, even though it hadn't been very successful at the time, I did have this. I needed to do it for myself.
Very good. So being that Channel 4 is now the bedrock of your career in the business, how did you land that, John? How did that come across your door?
Really by spotting the opportunity and pursuing them and putting a really good case in front of them to actually do it. And in fact, when we went, this is when Channel 4 split from ITV Sales back in 93, or prior to that in 92, because there was some preparation for that. They weren't planning to do anything in Ireland. And we could see, I could see, and I went to them and made the case to actually do it. And a case was made, and what was very interesting was the revenue we predicted for them in year one came in within €5 or £5 at the time.
Wow. Very good.
So we'd got it really right.
Great.
And so that's the company progressed from there. And in the meantime, it's the association has been there a long time.
Yes.
I think that is because we've done the business for them.
Very good. So
we've always had the philosophy of to kind of send the money but not grief.
Okay.
And we just get on and just
solve the problems.
Yeah, just do the job.
Very good. So you're nearly 20 years with that agency now.
I think you'll find that's longer.
Okay. Sorry, I thought it was early 2000s, but it was 90s, late 90s. Yeah. Okay, right. And to this day, Channel 4 is
a very good partner of ours, and we've gone on and developed other parts of the business which are not in conflict with Channel 4.
Well, maybe break that to us, because in my time that I've known you since 2005 now, we became your accountants in Channel 4, but quickly, to me, as an outsider, you identified a further opportunity, and that is now Digitize. Tell us about Digitize and why you formed that company.
Yeah, in 2008, we launched Digitize, it was becoming clear that digital was becoming a much bigger thing at that point in time. And what was also interesting was that the skills that we had for selling television were readily transferable to digital.
Very good. Right.
So we started Digitize at that point in time.
Right. I have to say, John, sitting here today, looking back, you're way ahead of the posse. You know, you were a leader in that field.
Yeah, I think that we're reasonably good at kind of spotting things coming down the road.
Sure, and you have a good team there now as well.
Yeah, no, we've great team, great management team now. Yeah. So it's not just all about me.
Sure, yeah.
And I started it.
Right.
It's, been at the start of all the businesses that we've done, and I've been very much behind, pushing the ideas forward to do them.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm surrounded by people who are really talented and very good at what they do.
Good. Great to hear. So Digitize flourished quite quickly.
Yes.
The next stage, Digitize may have been around for 4, 5, 6 years before you spotted another opportunity. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. So Digitize always differed from. I mean, there were other companies selling digital advertising space in Dublin, other independent Irish companies. Right. But Digitize always had a very technical approach to its business and had a technical discipline in it.
Right.
And it conquered big data, when a lot of people were just talking about big data.
Okay.
Digital actually conquered it and did it and had an in-house expertise in that area. Right. And we invested in a lot in that part of the business, and it drove success for Digitize, particularly on an ad network that we owned called AdSure.
Okay.
And so that enabled the business to progress. Right. And that technical edge always gave Digitize an edge against its competitors.
Very good. Interesting you say that, John. So again, we're speaking of a number of years ago. Mm-hmm. How have you maintained that competitive advantages now? How are you still at the forefront?
I think we've always adapted to what's been around and what's coming, and to that end, we launched Converge Digital back in 2015.
Right.
And Converge Digital encapsulated a lot of the experience that we built up in Digitize and put that into a platform.
Right.
Which a number of people are now using in Dublin very successfully.
Okay, so you license that out to people, do you? Well,
Converge gets involved and actually provides a service to advertising agencies and publishers.
Okay.
Allowing them to trade between themselves, to buy and sell advertising between them.
Right.
But one of the reasons we did Converge was because we had used a number of third-party platforms ourselves, which were acquired, or they changed the rules, and we found it very difficult to have a reliable platform that we could use.
Okay.
So that was a big influence for us to actually come up with Converge.
Right.
And develop it.
Very good. And John, could I ask, the three companies, are they in conflict or competition with each other, or do they complement each other?
I think they completely complement each other.
Okay.
And I think between we've got a depth with the fact that we have sales on the linear TV side, which is conventional broadcast TV.
Sure.
Digital sales, and then the digital platform, or the platform, an advertising delivery platform. It gives us an edge that others just don't have, and a depth in the market.
I'm right in saying, or am I simplifying it and saying you're a one-stop shop? Like somebody can come to you.
No, completely. Yeah, if you're a publisher or an ad agency, well, particularly if you're a publisher, if you're a major publisher and you have, a product that needs to be sold into the market, we're in a position to sell it and then host.
Very good.
The advertising.
So if you get one customer, do you end up really getting three customers, or can all three companies get value out of that one customer?
I wish it was as simple as that,
okay.
but no is the answer. But there are, some of our partners do work across the various services that we can provide for them.
Okay. And what about Channel 4? Would they be a client of, well, Channel 4 is
Channel 4
but
works with MediaLink and Digitize. So Digitize represents Channel 4 and All 4.
Right.
And All 4 is now one of the linchpins in broadcast VOD in Ireland.
Okay.
Comfortably within the top 3, let's say.
Right. I won't ask you about any of the current circumstances of Channel 4 and privatisation, or in the UK, or is that years away? Or
I think it's years away, and I think we all know it's quite political,
right?
And
right.
So we'll wait and see what emerges from that.
Okay, so that's a firm no comment. That's a firm no comment. Good. Yeah, I suppose that's a synopsis of the 3 companies in the group now at this stage, right? Sitting here in spring 2022, difficult environment. We don't know where things are going. How do you see, or where do you see the group and you going for the next 3 to 5 years, John? Have you any foresights or any plans, any expansion, or what's your outlook at the moment of the industry?
And we've always done reasonably well in recessions, ironically.
Okay.
But I think we're still very much about growth. We want to grow our businesses,
right?
All of them,
very good.
And we
are you seeing that in Q1 of 22?
Yeah, modest growth
okay.
in Q1. But I think we're not just kind of looking at organic growth here.
Right.
We're constantly looking at new things that we can do, and we're always pursuing ambitions.
Okay, and just on that then, and I should have asked you, do the companies only operate and are the customers only in Ireland, or are you looking at expanding abroad, UK, or are you restricted to go to the UK, or is Europe, or is it a worldwide service?
So MediaLink and Digitize both have an Ireland-only focus.
Okay.
Converge, we do have international ambitions for Converge, because it is a technology platform business. Great. So it doesn't need to kind of restrict itself to Ireland.
Right.
And there are very active conversations going on right now.
Very good. And Enterprise Ireland supported Converge?
Yes, indeed.
Initially?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And fair play to them.
Yes.
They gave us great support. And we, we very, very much large ambitions one day for Converge.
Good. I would suspect those ambitions will require finance, John. What's your attitude towards equity versus loan debt? Any opinion on that, or what's your thoughts? Have you been burnt in the past, or would you have it?
No, but I've spoken to others who have,
okay.
and I'm very much of the view that if you can run on your own finance, do so.
Good.
I think the expectations of people coming in for equity and so on are often very large, and
I'd agree. Yeah.
And I'm not so sure I'm comfortable with that.
Right.
That's not to say we wouldn't raise equity,
right.
but I think we would raise it on the basis of a very strong business plan and a very strong track record with money in the bank and so on. Good. And all the businesses are profitable.
Very good.
So that's where we would come from.
I gather from that answer, John, you'd like to retain control?
Well, yes, as being the leading shareholder in the business, but I mean, that's not going to change with somebody on an equity basis coming in, because you would be dealing with anybody who would be coming in to work with us on that basis would be working with the existing team of people that are there.
Right. So again, John, looking at the business you're involved in, I admire you in that you seem to have stuck to the knitting. You've stayed in the sector, although you've branched out. Do you see, and I admire you for your vision to date, because you seem to have been ahead of the posse. Have you any magical insights for us, or bunny to pull out of the hat there to tell us what's the next big thing?
No, I don't actually. I wish I knew. Okay. I'm sure. I mean, we're in a very funny place right now with media and digital, and one of the biggest problems of the whole lot is the fact that we have a hegemony between, you know, kind of Google and Facebook.
Right.
I mean, between them, they suck up between 75% of something like 75% of digital spend.
Right.
And it's a huge problem because
Okay.
we're getting very little innovation coming through now,
Right.
because you know so much money goes to those two companies.
Right.
It's affecting everything,
Okay.
and it's actually not good for media,
Right.
and not good for digital at all.
Okay.
You know, I'd say to you now, if it was today, I'm not sure Spotify would emerge. Spotify is a client of ours, by the way.
Okay.
We run their business here in Ireland.
Right.
I'm not sure Spotify would emerge. I'm not sure YouTube would emerge, although ironically YouTube is now owned by Google.
Right.
But I'm not sure it would happen now,
Okay.
because so much of the money is going into those two companies.
Right. And dare I ask, because I know you had a pint with Elon Musk over the weekend, and you gave him advice. What would you feel of his acquisition of Twitter, good or bad? And from what you've said there, I'm just wondering, you know, is it again too much control in too few people's hands, or?
I'm worried about it,
Okay.
to be honest with you, and that's the political bit of me speaking.
Right.
I am quite political, although I'm not a member of a political party.
Right.
I keep a very keen interest in politics, and I'm very...
Your dad was involved in politics, was he?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. We won't go there.
No. Okay.
But he was very keen, and my whole family are. We're, you know, bar one of us, we're none of us are politically aligned.
Right.
But we take a very keen interest.
Okay.
And I'm concerned about where that's going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about democracy, as we all are.
Sure.
We all have watched, you know, Brexit, and we've all watched the phenomenon that is Trump. And you know, I just wonder with Twitter how it'll be managed in the future.
Yeah, I would as well, and that's why I was looking to you for further insights. But you're confirming you're not happy with it.
No, and I'm not
people.
sure what he's going to be able to do with it. That's going to really turn it around and make it into you know, some sort of bigger machine than it currently is, and more profitable and so on.
Right. That's another word, profitable. Profit in my world is good. Losses aren't good and come back to haunt you. So again, like it's a huge investment. Will it give a return, or will it fail?
God knows.
Yeah.
And you know, I suppose, I mean, it's a funny play, really, given that he's got such a mega success in Tesla.
Right.
And you know, I would have thought he'd want to kind of concentrate his energy on that.
Right.
But he's got his finger in several pies. So.
Right. Okay. And you support him in his Tesla days by buying a Tesla for yourself?
Yeah, I do drive a Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Good.
very nice.
Good.
And
happy with it?
yes, extremely happy
Your
with it.
accountant must have advised you to do that, didn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
He
There was
did,
a certain guy
certain guy. Good.
give me telling me I should do it.
Very good. Good. Yeah, no, it's really an interesting time as well, just in those big three out there and what's going to happen. Do you see, is there any big thing you see coming that, you know, you think you'd like to do a bit of research on, or that you think Digitize or Converge could branch out into? Or
No, we're constantly looking, but it's very much within the kind of bailiwick of what we're doing now. And we do see opportunities,
Right.
and we are pursuing them. And a lot of it is down to, I suppose, timing, because we have quite a bit on our plate at the moment. And
Okay. And could I ask you, John, are you seeing, because again, your business are very successful, seem to be very stable, are you having difficulty in attracting staff and retaining staff versus the environment in Dublin with the big players here?
Actually, we're good at staff retention.
Okay.
Getting staff in is a different story. I mean, it's very hard to get talent at the moment.
Right.
But we have, I'm glad to say, we have a great relationship with our staff.
Very good.
And
Right.
people do stay with us. And in fact, people leave us and come back.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that says a lot about
absolutely
us as an employer, or the various companies. So we've got some very good, very dedicated people who've been with us for several years, and long may that continue.
Very good. And when I mentioned, and you mentioned IAWS and Thomas Street, I believe you've recently returned to your old haunting ground.
We have indeed, yes. We're in 61 Thomas Street. It's a brand new building.
Very good, right.
Developed by Oakmount.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful building. And it's allowed us to do something that we couldn't do in our older premises, in that it's one large collaborative space. And it allows people within the various companies and teams to kind of, I suppose, collaborate on the hoof and over here and have water cooler moments.
Very good. And could I ask you, John, today, again, back into tail end of April 22, how are you coping? Use hybrid working? Are you fully back, or how are things going?
So we're migrating back into hybrid.
Right.
That's the way it's going to be for us.
Sure.
So we've our office space is smaller than we would require if everybody was in.
Right.
But we see a big benefit in hybrid. So it's a mix of, at home people can get a lot of stuff done without distractions.
Yes. Yeah.
But you miss the team thing, and we do want the team thing.
Sure. And
just the camaraderie of working together. Yeah. So I think for us anyway, hybrid is the future.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And again, in our office here, we'd be 50% in every day, and the learning by osmosis is brilliant. You cannot do that over Teams.
No, you can't.
Or Zoom or whatever. And to see a huddle taking place, an informal huddle, problem being raised, being discussed, cup of tea, cup of coffee, and chatting it out, and in 20 minutes a younger member has been helped along, solved the problem, and it's been good for everybody.
No, completely. And it's particularly when it comes to training in new people, it's very difficult to do that on Zoom.
Sure.
Not impossible, but
no, not impossible. And for certain functions, it can be done, of course. But no, just interested to hear your opinion on what you're doing. So yeah, I would agree with you. Hybrid working is pretty suitable, I think, for us. It's good. You mentioned a couple of people there in your life and career. Was there a particular person who's influenced you to help you along or find where you're going in life and to bring you here today?
I think I've been more influenced by myself and my own family and people around me. Okay. So I don't have a business hero as such.
Right. Okay.
I did come across one person who was not a business person who impressed me deeply, and that was a guy called Walton Empey, who was the Archbishop of Dublin.
Okay.
So I knew him. I was involved in youth work, so I knew him very well.
Right.
And I found him deeply impressive.
And would he have been a mentor to you anyway? Either not just from a business point of view, but just a life coach, or
no, not so much. But I did know him well.
Very good. Right. He's passed away since.
No.
Okay. No, God forbid.
No. He's alive and well.
Okay. Yes, not good at all. Okay. So, John, coming towards the end of our chat, to what do you attribute your success?
I would say persistence, sticking with it, chasing something, trying to, spotting ideas and trying to execute on them.
Very good. And looking back now, over 30 years nearly, was there any particularly bad moment whereby it nearly fell apart, or indeed was there any fantastic light bulb moment that you said, this is it, we're now, we've found our niche, or we've hit the, we've landed the best customer we could? Any particular moments stand out in your career?
Not especially. I mean, I would say it was a steady progression over the years. There were upsets. I mean, obviously I told you that that I had a business failure.
Right. Nice to get it done early, though.
Indeed, and also, I suppose, I mean, there have been some really tough moments
Right.
doing what we've done over the years, and just, I suppose, just sticking it out and keeping at it.
Right. Would you think, looking back, did you make any enemies along the way? Did you fall out with anybody?
I fell out with a couple of people.
Fell out with a couple of people, right.
Generally, no.
Okay. Yeah.
But a couple of people I did fall out with.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
I think it's very difficult to be in business without that happening at some level.
Yeah. It's good. Well, look, John Patten, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you want to learn a little more about Guardian, you can go to guardianaccountants.ie, where you'll learn about everything that we can do. If you're enjoying the Guardian Irish Business podcast, please do share it with your friends and colleagues, and don't forget to subscribe, like and review wherever you are listening. Thanks for listening. Until next time.